It's September 4th, 2018 in Seattle. Game 5 of the WNBA semifinals between the Seattle Storm and the Phoenix Mercury. Loser goes home. Fourth quarter, all-time great Diana Taurasi and the Phoenix Mercury are up, 70-66. Seattle coach Dan Hughes has just subbed in his longtime star Sue Bird. Bird has a face mask on to protect a broken nose, but with the series on the line, she is ready to play. She starts with a quick assist to Breanna Stewart for 3, and moments later she drills her own. And that's only the beginning. After making a long jumper, she makes not 1, not 2, but 3 very clutch three-point shots as the Storm go on a 28-14 run in the last minutes of the game. It's an iconic moment in women's basketball. But Sue Bird's journey to this moment is much more than one broken nose, or the 22 points she scored in Game 5, or even her 4 WNBA championship rings. Because Sue Bird is more than a number. Broken noses are kind of a thing for Sue Bird. She reportedly broke her nose in 2012 playing in Russia during the WNBA offseason. But that wasn't the first time. She broke her nose on her teammate's elbow in 2005 and in the playoffs a year earlier. Some fans even took to wearing Sue Bird bandages across their noses in support of her seemingly fragile schnoz. When asked if she owns a protective face mask just in case she breaks her nose again, Bird responded, "No, I own 3.
Well, since I've done it before, it's not really an adjustment. It's just more of, more of a nuisance. It's not my favorite thing to wear, but it allows me to play, so I can't really say too many bad things.
The face masks just don't seem to be a problem for her. In 2004, she bounced back from both breaks to lead her team in assists, and Seattle won a WNBA championship. Not that anyone is surprised by this. Bouncing back from injuries is a hallmark of Sue Bird's career. Her entire career. Just 8 games into her freshman year at UConn, Bird tore her ACL. Her season was done. But a little more than a year later, she was named the best point guard in the country as UConn tore through the NCAA tournament en route to a national championship. Her junior year, Bird suffered from painful back spasms, which did nothing to stop her from making history in a game dubbed the best women's basketball game ever played. Through the pain, she led the team in minutes played and made the game-winning fadeaway to ice UConn's longtime rivals. Someone even wrote a book about it. Bird's ability to play through injuries, hit big shots, and win no matter what was a hallmark of her college career and something that would follow her into the WNBA. Bird's time at UConn was a highlight reel of winning. 4 Big East titles, 2 national championships, and an undefeated season. But in 2002, she was drafted first overall by the Seattle Storm, a team that posted the worst record in the WNBA for 2 years in a row. Bird's start in the league was strong. Paired up with Lauren Jackson, another first overall pick, the duo ran a fast-paced, high pick-and-roll offense that allowed Bird space in the wing and let Jackson dominate in the paint. They were both all-stars, but the Seattle Storm couldn't make a deep run in the playoffs. If they wanted to win it all, they were going to need another piece. Heading into the 2004 season, Seattle picked up another young star, Betty Lennox. She was the 2000 Rookie of the Year and brought another scoring option to the court for the Storm. All season long, Bird was dishing assists to her star players, and by the midseason break, the Storm were comfortably in the playoff picture, only a game and a half out of first place. But the league was taking a 5-week break for the Olympics, a jam-packed tournament where Jackson and Bird would both play 8 games in 2 weeks, meeting each other in the gold medal final. Bird took home the gold, by the way. After a grueling Olympic tournament, they both looked gassed. The Storm lost 6 of their last 9 games of the season, and though they were still the second seed in the West, no one wants to take a losing streak into the playoffs. Which brings us to the first nose break. Just a few minutes into Seattle's second playoff game, Bird collided with Minnesota's Teresa Edwards. The nose broke, and so did Bird's orbital bone. It was so bad that Bird had to get surgery on it the morning before a decisive Game 3 in the conference finals. During warm-ups, Bird told reporters that her vision was a little blocked. The hardest thing is just the mask. I'm not worried about getting hit. It turned out, she didn't need to worry about anything. Bird put on a clinic. She had 14 assists and Seattle won by 20. A few days later, Bird and the mask would help take the Storm to their first WNBA championship. Bird and Jackson would grab the Storm another ring in 2010, but eventually the injuries started to catch up to the duo. Jackson only managed to play in 21 games over 2 seasons before injuries ultimately forced her into retiring from the WNBA. And Bird? She played through a torn labrum in 2011, a knee injury in 2012, and surgeries on both would keep her off the court in 2013. Without their stars, the Storm failed to break 500 as a team for 5 straight seasons between 2013 and 2017. But where Bird struggled on the court, her off-the-court life flourished. In 2017, Bird publicly came out as gay and announced she was dating another star athlete, soccer player Megan Rapinoe. Although it was news to the world, for Bird, being out was no big deal. "I'm gay, Megan's my girlfriend. These aren't secrets to people who know me." The relationship between two of America's iconic women athletes was made for the press. GQ, Vogue, ESPN's yearly The Body issue, they were featured all over the place as a power couple in love and at the top of their game. Bird was an all-time great, a champion, and she was in love. But she wasn't done on the court. With a few seasons of subpar ball, the Seattle Storm had banked up some solid draft picks, including one of the greatest college players of all time, Breanna Stewart. Bird was healthy again, having rehabbed her hip and her knee, and Stewart was exactly the kind of help the Storm needed to win again. And Bird's approach to the game changed. She was always a pass-first point guard, but she was also the second, or at worst third scoring option on the team. In 2018, things were different. It was Bird's lowest scoring season of her entire career at that point, but she was piling on the assists, dishing the ball left and right all season long. She had the most assists out of any season in her whole career. The Storm went into the playoffs as the #1 seed for only the second time in Bird's 16 years in the WNBA. She was the leader of the best team in the WNBA in the regular season. But for all-time greats like Bird, rings are all that matter. The Storm cruised to the semifinals, where they matched up against the Phoenix Mercury. Right before the series started, Stewart was named the league MVP, and in games 1 and 2, she certainly looked like it, leading Seattle to a strong 2-0 series lead. But both games featured late Phoenix runs. Game 3 was a blowout for the Mercury at home, and it featured another huge fourth by Phoenix. A pattern was starting to emerge. In Game 4, Seattle came out swinging, and by the end of the first quarter, the Storm were up by 15 points. But halfway through the second quarter, the tides changed. As Bird tried to go underneath an off-the-ball pick, she collided straight into the elbow of Stewart. Bird goes down hard. Play stops, and she's taken off the court. Later, it's revealed she suffered another broken nose, her 5th, and though she wants to get back in the game, the nose just won't stop bleeding. Bird is forced to sit on the bench, wiping away blood, and watch as her team blows another second-half lead. The series is tied 2-2, and at this point, Phoenix has outscored Seattle a whopping 94-47 in the fourth quarter of this series. But when has a broken nose stopped Bird before? Or any injury for that matter? With a face mask ready to go, Bird suited up for the winner-go-home Game 5. Phoenix came out of the gate strong. They held the lead for the first 33 minutes of the game, though Seattle kept it close with a string of late quarter runs. And now, with 6 minutes and 41 seconds on the clock, Phoenix was up 4 points and poised to make another dominant fourth quarter run and head to the WNBA Finals. There's only one problem. Sue Bird was about to check back into the game. In the first 3.5 quarters, Bird had been having an average game. A few buckets, a few dimes, but nothing like the vintage Bird. Until this moment. She started off with a quick dish to Stewart for 3, and moments later she nailed her own from the wing. But the Mercury responded to both buckets and weren't going down without a fight. With 4 minutes and 41 seconds on the clock, Bird drove to the hoop, broken nose be damned, pulled up, stepped back, and dropped a dagger over the arm of Phoenix guard Yvonne Turner. And from there on out, it was all Bird and the Seattle Storm. With 4 minutes on the clock, Bird dished the ball to Stewart, who bricked the layup after a lot of contact. The Storm got the offensive board, kicked the ball back out to Bird. Catch, shoot, and 3. But can the Storm hold on? They've already blown 2 big fourth quarter leads this series. No lead is safe. Bird had the ball at midcourt. Stewart set a high pick, pulling both defenders into the key. Bird, all alone at the wing. Bang! Another 3-ball. Game over. All in all, the Storm outscored the Mercury 28-14 in the final 6.5 minutes of the game, half of which came from Bird. It was the most points in a playoff game for Bird, and she has even called it the biggest, best moment of my career.
They were incredible. That was the toughest series, to be honest, I think I've ever played in. They were just incredible, and it tested us, and I'm just glad we responded.
A week later, the Storm would sweep the Mystics in the final and bring the trophy back to Seattle. Through it all, the torn ACL, the roster changes, the 5 broken noses, missed games, and missed seasons, Sue Bird was a champion again.